Red Dead Redemption is without a doubt one of the most historically accurate games ever made, bringing players into the hyper-detailed world of the Wild West American frontier. But did you know that it's also largely inspired by people who really existed? So, who were they? And were they as rugged and handsome as their digital counterparts? Well, no, but we'll have other questions. Stick around. Welcome to History Unfolded, Red Dead Redemption Edition. Look, there are a lot of characters in these games, and to go through all of them would take an attention span that, frankly, I don't have. But let's start with the Linde gang, our heroes in Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, these guys never actually existed in history, and if you do know of any Linde gang, chances are it's some kind of Dutch mobster clique. And, well, we're not digging into niche gangsters today, but the Linde gang is inspired by a legendary gang of Western outlaws. Butch Cassidy and his infamous Wild Bunch. Back in the late 1800s, Butch was a major pain in the ass for sheriffs all across the United States. Train robberies, bank heists, shootouts with the law. They did basically everything they could to avoid getting a real job. Just like Dutch, Butch Cassidy was highly charismatic and idealistic about his chances of success, even when it seemed like he was walking into his own execution. Whereas most criminals of the era were the shoot first, send flowers to the widow later type, Butch never wanted to hurt anybody. He would avoid violence whenever he could with strategic planning and lots of focus, which is exactly what Dutch does too, thanks to his code of honor. That's how Butch pulled off some of the most impressive heists ever committed, including the 1899 Wilcox train robbery, which earned him an insane $60,000 at the time and triggered a massive Pinkerton manhunt. You know, like how Dutch and his gang get involved in the Blackwater massacre and wind up being chased by Pinkerton? Yes, you heard me right. The exact same people. We'll come back to that in a moment. It gets very tense. Lawyers involved. You'll love it. Anyway, even the moment the gang meet their end matches with what Butch and his crew went through. Like the Linde gang, Butch's group crumbled because they couldn't trust one another under pressure from the authorities. Pinkerton. But before we get into the whole mess of Pinkerton, let's just take a moment to remind you that if you love these kinds of videos, you can hit that subscribe button and see every single time we make more of them. But for now, let's meet the Lawmen. In 1850, a man named Allan Pinkerton arrived in America from Scotland and founded a detective agency named after himself. It turns out he was the single greatest detective America would ever see, until Angela Lansbury showed up on Murder, She Wrote in the 1980s. But you know, he's only human. He was so good at what he did that in 1861 he caught wind of an upcoming assassination attempt against President-elect Abraham Lincoln. His success in saving Lincoln's life earned him a role as the president's personal security detail during the Civil War, a role that would go on to become the U.S. Secret Service. But long after Lincoln had gotten the world's worst headache, Pinkerton became the largest private law enforcement force in the late 19th century, hunting notorious outlaws like Jesse James and the James Younger Gang for corporate clients. Exactly like the game. In Red Dead Redemption 2, the Pinkerton agency is hired to hunt down Dutch's gang on behalf of the railroad tycoon Leviticus Cornwall. The game does not pull any punches, showing the Pinkertons as highly aggressive and ruthless hunters, willing to burn homes and target innocent people to get the information and targets they need. In fact, the real-life modern successor of Pinkerton sued Rockstar, accusing them of historical distortion, claiming that their ancestors were painted as villains. Actually, it's all true. To get Jesse James, the agents really did firebomb his Missouri homestead, killing his 8-year-old half-brother and seriously hurting his mother, which made them villains in the Old West. In the era the game is set, the real-life Pinkertons had also turned their attention to fighting labor movements, often killing steel workers to satisfy their corporate clients. One incident in 1892 saw 300 Pinkertons attempting to break a labor strike for Carnegie Steel. They launched a 12-hour battle with the workers, leading to the deaths of 16 innocent people. In many ways, they were just as villainous in real life as in the game, and if anything, they were the real outlaws. So the game captured these people pretty well, but one of the greatest achievements of the game isn't just that they nailed the outlaws and the psychopathic law enforcement, it's that they perfectly recreated the vibes of the era. Because let's be honest, the world has never been a friend to criminals unless they happen to be billionaires. In that case, criminal activity is not only endorsed, but embraced and encouraged, or even elected? But in most cases, we can't wait to get rid of them from society. Well, in the 19th century, everybody was an outlaw. The Wild West was the Wild West. Even women who had very strict and rigid places in society were finding homes in the world of criminals. Real-life figures like Belle Starr, who navigated outlaw networks as a woman in a male-dominated world, inspired in-game figures like Sadie Adler, who transforms from a widow into a gunslinger, both of them leveraging the cracks in society to survive. Lastly, part of the narrative of Red Dead Redemption 2 is all about the final gasp of lawlessness in the frontier. As America races towards civilization, it has nothing to offer these people. The world is industrializing, and all they have is a life of crime, a career that is very rapidly being erased from society entirely. Did you know about any of these real-life parallels? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this trip through time back to the Old West. Feel free to drop a like, ring that bell, and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more videos like this. As always, stay curious.